There is a particular kind of disappointment that arrives about 6 weeks after a purchase.
The piece looked beautiful in the shop. It felt like an investment, and now it is sitting in your wardrobe, pilled at the seams, faintly misshapen, the color already tired. It didn't survive contact with your actual life. And the quiet part is this: you will, in all likelihood, do it again. Not because your taste is poor. Your taste is excellent. You are simply buying with the wrong information.
Most women choose clothing the way they were taught to, by how it looks on the hanger, how it photographs, what it costs, occasionally whose name is on it.
Almost no one was taught the single thing that actually predicts whether a garment will still look considered in 2 years. No one taught them to read the label. What I'm going to show you today is not a shopping guide. It is not a list of brands. It is something quieter and far more useful: how to read a garment the way the most discreetly well-dressed women read one before they ever look at the price. Because the women whose clothes always look expensive, who seem to have stepped out of the cycle of buying and discarding entirely, are very often not spending more. Frequently, they are spending less. They have simply learned to gather the right information in the first 30 seconds and to let that information, rather than the marketing, make the decision. Once you can read a garment, you cannot unsee it. You will turn a piece inside out in a shop without thinking, and your wardrobe will begin to change. Not all at once, but permanently. The conventional approach to dressing well is built around acquisition. Find the right pieces, buy the right brands, build the right wardrobe. There is nothing wrong with intention about what you bring in, but it misses something more fundamental, something that sits underneath every garment, regardless of its price or its label. What a garment is made of determines almost everything about how it behaves, how it drapes on the body, how it holds its shape through a long day, how it ages across 100 wears, how it feels against the skin, and the part most people underestimate, how it reads to other people in a room. Two garments can be identical in cut and color and look entirely different in person because one is made of a fiber that holds light and structure, and the other is made of a fiber that does neither. Here is something the industry would prefer you did not consider too closely.
As of 2024, polyester alone accounted for roughly 59% of all fiber produced in the world.
And synthetic fibers together made up close to 69%. Which means the overwhelming majority of what hangs in shops at every price point, including some you would call luxury, is fundamentally a form of plastic. This is not a moral argument. Synthetic fibers have their place, but it explains something you have felt without being able to name: why so much modern clothing feels slightly cheap regardless of its cost, why it does not breathe, does not age, does not drape. You are feeling the difference between a natural fiber and a petrochemical one, and the price tag was never a reliable guide to which you were holding. The difference is not a matter of preference, it is physical, and it has been measured. Wool, for instance, can absorb up to 30 to 35% of its own weight in moisture vapor without ever feeling damp, while most synthetics absorb almost nothing, which is precisely why they turn clammy the moment your body warms. A 4-year research program led by North Carolina State University described this quality as dynamic breathability, the ability of a natural fiber to adapt to your body and your environment in real time, managing heat and moisture as conditions change. Synthetic fabric cannot do this. It traps. And there is a second cost, only recently quantified. When synthetic garments are washed, they shed microfibers, fragments of plastic. A single household wash has been measured to release somewhere between roughly 640,000 and 1.5 million microfibers for every kilogram of fabric. Some of it ends up in water. Some of it is now being studied in relation to the body itself.
The fiber you wear is not inert. It is in constant physical relationship with you, all day, every day. That is worth choosing deliberately.
So, how do you choose deliberately in the time it takes to consider a garment in a shop? The framework has 3 parts. Together, they let you read almost any garment at any price in any store and know within about 30 seconds whether it deserves a place in your life. I call it label literacy.
Step 1, know which fibers to reach for. The first step is simply knowing what you are looking for. Not every fiber is equal, and the goal is not purity for its own sake.
It is knowing what each material gives you and what it costs you. There is a clear hierarchy. At the top sit the natural fibers, used for centuries precisely because they perform. Wool and its finest expressions: merino, cashmere, lamb's wool, warm, breathable, naturally odor and wrinkle-resistant, structurally resilient, the fiber that ages best of all. Silk, temperature regulating, luminous in a way no synthetic replicates, and remarkably strong for its weight. Linen, the most breathable of all, woven from flax. It softens and improves with every wash. Its wrinkles are not a flaw. They are the signature of the real thing. Cotton, reliable, breathable, comfortable. Quality varies enormously with fiber length. Long staple cottons such as Egyptian or Pima are far more durable than ordinary cotton. Below these sit the cellulosic fibers, viscose, modal, lyocell, sometimes labeled rayon or tensile, made from plant pulp, chemically processed. Not natural in the strict sense, but they breathe far better than true synthetics and can be an intelligent, affordable choice, lyocell especially, the most refined of them. And at the bottom, the pure synthetics, polyester, nylon, acrylic, elastane. These are not forbidden. Elastane in small amounts, 3 to 5%, gives a garment helpful stretch and recovery. A little nylon adds durability. The problem is never a trace. The problem is dominance, a coat that is 100% acrylic, a blouse marketed as silk that is 100% polyester, a knit that is mostly acrylic pretending to be wool. That is where quality quietly disappears.
Now step 2, how to actually read the label. Every garment carries a composition label, usually at the side seam, sometimes at the neck.
Most people never look at it. The well-dressed minority look at it first. Read it in 3 movements. First, read the percentages, not the headline. A garment marketed as wool may be 30% wool and 70% acrylic. The marketing word is not the truth. The percentage breakdown is. Find it and read the largest number first. That is what the garment actually is. Second, apply the dominance test. Ask one question. Is the majority fiber natural or cellulosic, or is it synthetic? If a garment is at least 70% natural or cellulosic, with a small percentage of synthetic for stretch or structure, it will generally behave beautifully. If the majority is polyester or acrylic, you now know exactly what you are holding, regardless of the swing tag, regardless of the price.
Third, read the care instructions as a cost. Dry clean only on a simple everyday piece is not a mark of luxury. It is a recurring expense and a friction you will come to resent.
A genuinely well-made wool or silk piece can very often be hand-washed or steamed. Read the care label as part of the price because it is.
Step 3, 3 tests you can do in the shop. The label tells you the truth on paper. Your hands confirm it in person.
3 tests, none of which take more than a few seconds. The hand feel test. Take the fabric between your fingers. Natural fibers have a particular quality, a faint warmth, a dryness, a substance. Synthetics often feel cool, slick, faintly slippery. With practice, your hand will know before your eyes do. The scrunch test. Take a section of fabric in your fist, squeeze firmly, and release. Good natural fibers, wool especially, spring back and shed their creases. Cheap synthetics either hold a hard crease or feel unnaturally springy in a plasticky way. Linen will wrinkle, and that is correct, but it wrinkles softly, like folded paper, not sharply. The light and weight test. Hold the garment up to a window. Quality fabric tends to have weight and opacity. It holds light rather than letting it pass straight through. Thin, papery, see-through cloth at a price point that is not meant to be sheer is telling you something. None of this requires expertise. It requires only attention and a willingness to spend 30 seconds before you spend your money.
Here is what I want you to do today, and it requires no spending at all. First, go to your wardrobe and find the 3 pieces you reach for most.
The ones that always feel right, that have lasted, that you would replace immediately if they were lost. Turn each one inside out and read the composition label. I suspect you will find a pattern. They are very likely natural or natural dominant fibers. You have been gravitating toward quality all along. Now you will be able to do it on purpose. Second, find one disappointment, a piece that pilled, sagged, or tired quickly that you were excited about and rarely wear now. Read its label too. Note what it is made of. That contrast between what lasted and what did not is your entire education in a single comparison. Let your own wardrobe teach you. Third, the next time you are in a shop, today, if you can, do not look at a single price tag until you have done 3 things. Read the composition label, apply the dominance test, and scrunch the fabric in your hand. Only then turn over the tag. You will be astonished how often the most expensive piece on the rail is mostly polyester, and how often something quietly excellent is sitting there underpriced simply because it is not shouting.
What I have described today is not really about fabric. It is about information and who is permitted to hold it.
For a long time, the difference between clothing that lasts and clothing that disappoints was treated as a kind of secret, something you either had the eye for or you did not. It was never a secret. It was a label on the inside of every garment that almost no one was taught to read. There is a line often attributed to the Gucci family that quality is remembered long after the price is forgotten. It is worth keeping in mind in reverse, because poor quality is also remembered every single morning in the piece you settled for.
The women whose wardrobes seem effortless are not buying more, and very often they are not spending more. They read the label before the logo, the fiber before the price.
They have made quality a matter of literacy rather than luck, and literacy is a skill, which means it is entirely available to you, beginning with the very next garment you pick up.